Hey guys, Big J here. You know why you're watching? Well, let's have a look at my team. It's been an interesting 2024. Yesterday, we did kind of our first look at, hey, this is what the side's going to look like. These are some of the players and some of the picks who I think you guys should be looking at. I went to the basement, went and had a look at, hey, what structures do I want to do? Which are the premiums that I want to come and put in my team? I'm going to show you guys now what I've come up with for my first iteration of the side. It obviously is going to change. And as the rules come in, as kind of these players perform over the first couple of rounds of buys, we might get a bit of changes as well. So let me show you what I've come up with so far. Cool. Well, I guess everyone is going to start in the back line. So I might as well start in the back line as well. I've gone Nick Daicos. The guy's a freak. He's in his third year of AFL, and he's only getting better and better. I think there's going to be games where, yes, he gets beaten, but I really think Collingwood in itself is going to start being able to nullify those opposition taggers even more and make it so, like, cool, you go after Daicos, we smash you everywhere else, to the point where I think actually just going after Nick Daicos is going to be a real problem for teams. So it just won't happen as much. Obviously, opposition forwards or mids will have a go at him at times, but I'm seeing a lot more 100-plus games than the lower ones. And similar to the next person I'm going to put in my team, I really don't want to have to go in there and actually try and get these players in my side. I think it's a lot easier to start. And I've always been a big advocate of, cool, you've got these guys who are super expensive. Let's start them in your team. Let's not wait and have to try and trade 2 or 3 players to actually get them in. The next player I've got is Big James Sicily. He killed me last year not having him in my team, and I'm not having that happen again. Yes, if he shits the bed, which I don't think he will. But if he does, I can always trade down and get a couple of good players, maybe him down to a 550k player and then a rookie upgraded at some point. But he's going to be fantastic. I think Hawthorn's backline's getting stronger. They did miss out on Mackay in the trade period, but they have got stronger in that area, especially with Will McCabe in. Not sure if he plays early, but he will play at some point. And they're just looking better. No Sicily is going to hurt you this year. Next one I've got is Big Harry Sheezel. Now, maybe this is a little bit of North Melbourne bias, but I love the player. I love the pick. And it looks like from watching all the training that I have been watching, keeping up with all the training notes and whatnot, that he is playing halfback alongside someone else who I've currently got in my forward line. If he does do that and then rotates through the mid, which is what it's looking like, he's going to be fantastic. And you might end up having to pay 50 or 60k more. If I can get a guy at 556 that is averaging around that 100, 110 mark every week, it's going to be great. He's taken on a leadership role. You know he's going to get a lot of the ball. Almost a no-brainer, but we just wait and see during the preseason what happens. Another wait and see is Hayden Young. Yes, Hayden Young, Big J. Why are you not picking better players? Well, it looks like Hayden Young is going to continue with his midfield role, which is what we want to see. This is a player who's coming into his prime in a Freo side that now has the capacity, with some players leaving, that he can actually play roles that really suit him. We saw in the second half of the Freo season that he did play a similar type role and was scoring big numbers. I'm expecting a 105 to 110 average, hopefully, from Hayden Young. And at that price, I'll more than take it. The next player I'm looking at is an old favorite. And you might say, Big J, this isn't 2018. Why are you picking this player? Well, as we scroll down, you know who it is. It is Big Zach Williams. He's got a 50% price drop for not playing last year. Look at George's Twitter. He had a bit of a go at Supercoach for doing it, but I can kind of see why. And now he's almost an auto-include. It really feels like it's Williams' time not to be in my team, and it's up to him to have a poor preseason for him to get kicked out. There's a lot of players who could take that role and could end up being a good downgrade option for me before round 1. He's a definite watch and see, and you'll see that in our watch and see video coming out soon. But right now, it's really hard not to start him. And I find with players and prices like this, you almost have to start your starting team with that and then decide, cool, I don't want them anymore, and then we change. The next one I've got in the back line is Big Connor O'Sullivan. So Radigali is left, And I think there's a real spot for him to fill in that team. We saw how good SDK was when he came in at a rookie price. O'Sullivan seems to be destroying the preseason, and I can't wait to have him in my team. Yes, he might get some key defender roles, but it doesn't matter when he's really that price. If he scores 50s and 60s and 70s, I'm happy. 160K, you're making an easy 150 at that price. And if he gets a few intercepts, which he has been doing at training versus Hawkins and Jeremy Cameron, mate, you're onto a winner. The next one I've got is maybe a little bit of North Melbourne bias, but it is big Toby Pink. So he's come across from the state leagues. I believe he was the best key defender in the Sandful. And then North Melbourne said, hey, mate, you played for us in the VFL. Come and play for us in the senior team. He's come in to fill a role. You don't bring players in at his age and not expect him to play. So that's why he's in my team. I think he'll feature quite early. Finishing off the list, I have gone Nick Caulfield. Haven't gone someone super basement, but there is potential to move those around. From what I'm hearing in the preseason, he's doing quite well, and it's his spot to lose in my team. I think that's the same with a lot of people. Moving off to the midfield, and it's a bit tricky this year. There's a lot of very, very expensive players. Hey, Bontempelli, excuse me. Bontempelli, 724 mid, 724K. Clayton Oliver, 674. Petrarca, 667. And then Rory Laird, 650. It's too expensive. These are players who at some point will drop a crappy score. Even Bont's having a limited preseason at the moment. I just can't risk it. It's not going to happen. So what I've gone is I've gone big Jordan Dawson first, the captain of Adelaide. We saw how last year, how dominant he was playing that midfield wing role, but also across the back line. He's not defensive eligible anymore, but he's still in my team. I think he's a good shout for a captain most weeks, and that's partly why I've decided to pay up a little bit for him. The next one I've got is Zach Butters. So Zach Butters really hurt me last year, and there's a few players like that in my team that, yes, did very well last year, and that's why I want them in. But I think he's at the right age to really start dominating in that Port Adelaide midfield, and he's got a really good buy round. So that's why I'm starting him. He seems to be a crowd favorite. I think probably 50% of teams have actually got him into their side already. So it's a good shout if you want to spend the cash. Another good shout who I'm looking at is Tom Green. Every year, this kid has just got better and better and better and better. And as GWS gets stronger as a team, he's going to be that linchpin. He's going to get the first hit out from Briggs and then dispose it off to someone else. We've seen it. When he doesn't have those, he tackles like a monster. And the guy can just run. You watch this preseason another year. We saw it in 2023 when he put on all that extra muscle and size and got fitter. We're going to see that again. I'm just banking on it. And at that price, mate, 115 every week. I'm happy. The last midfielder who I'm paying up for is Andy Brayshaw. Now, it's a bit of a controversial pick for me. A lot of people have picked him, and I've kind of jumped on the bandwagon a little bit of that. Freo have a fantastic buy, and that kind of comes into my thinking a little bit. But also, I really think he's on the rise. Speaking to Damo in our Freo video, he's a player who is ready to stand up, and I think Freo is ready to kind of go back to playing finals and ready to jump up on that level. Brayshaw will be the one to carry that, and if I can get a 105 to 110 average every week, alongside maybe a sub 100 score, but definitely above 100 score, I can deal with that, at least to start with. And I think he's probably better value than a few of these other guys along here. Like, I'm not going to pick LDU. I'd rather go Brayshaw at the moment, just given the preseason and what I'm hearing. Now, we're on to the rookies. If you look at my team at the moment, there's not a lot of premiums. And I think this year we're really going to see a massive drop in that. We're going back a little bit to the guns and rookies style, and I think that's what we're really going to see in 2024. So first up, I have Toby McKercher. Dominating, doing fantastic, playing halfback for North Melbourne. This kid is a freak and really worth the pick 2. Yes, I'll probably have Harley Reid in my team in the forward line at the moment, but McKercher, if you don't start him, you're really going to struggle. The next one who I think as well is Riley Sanders. Has been doing fantastic in that Dogs midfield, and I always had penciled him in for a spot to start with. Baz has gone down, ACL. It just further compounds what I'm thinking. He's going to take what was Dunkley's role, and he's just going to be there, getting the clearances, getting the accumulation. He might even push McRae out of a midfield spot and push McRae back to that half forward. Cool. You can rotate through there, but Sanders is going to dominate. The next one up we have is Daniel Curtin. So a lot of people would have put him in the back line, and I think maybe I could have done that, but you're missing out on a few of these cheaper guys, especially on the bench. So decided to put Curtin in the midfield. Should play round one. I'm expecting a 60 to 70 average from him. And at that price, mate, you take it every day of the week. It'll be better than a few people's premiums. The next kind of 4 or so players are a bit of a mix, and they can go in and out as much as I want. It's more about just placeholders and price at the moment. So I've got Matt Roberts there, fantastic young player. And then we move down to the cheaper guys. So Jeremy Sharp, I have Sean Manners in there. You know he's going to play every game of the week. And then I have George Stevens as well. So placeholders at the moment can in and out swap. We'll just wait and see what happens. As you guys would have sawn from the title, the ruck line's a bit of an interesting one. There's a lot of very, very expensive players and a lot of very cheap players as well. Some guys who, hey, might come in and actually play best 22 and be a sole ruck. I'm not going too crazy this year, but I am going a bit of value. And probably guys who will be top 4 in their positions, but aren't at a top 4 price as well. I'm talking Big Max Gordon. He's going to come back. There's no Jackson. There's no Grundy. I'm expecting maybe not the biggest scores like we've seen, but definitely a consistent 100 every week. And I think a lot of people are going to be picking his partner in crime. This is GAWNDY from 5 years ago. It's back, boys, and it's going to work for us. Yes, they have the buy rounds early, but if it's best 18, you're not missing out too much. And a lot of people are going to pick them. Some people might have better premiums, but we'll wait and see and kind of see how that goes so far. If you have a look at JD's latest video, George's video, their live stream, they talk about how important playing rucks are going to be this year. There's a few of them around that kind of 180 to 150 mark that are going to be fantastic. At this point, there is some cheaper ones. Maybe I'll go a DPP, so I've got a bit of a swing. But I've decided to start with Big Jordan Sweet in that ruck position. I think he'll do okay for me, and there's always some flexibility with his price. If you can get the #1 ruck spot at Port Adelaide, and you know their rucks are shit because they just brought 2 more in, it's going to be great. Soldo could take the spot, but I don't think Jordan Sweet's going to come across from the Dogs and then get relegated to the state leagues again. I think he's really going to compete, and there might be a spot for him. He doesn't have to play every week for the whole season, but if he starts early and plays the first 5 or 6 games, heck, even going to 7 games, offload him, first DPP swap, you're laughing your head off. We found in recent years that the Riley O'Brien's in this position, the Briggs is in this position, the Samson Ryan's in these positions at R3. If you can nail that spot, it's an easy cash draw, and that's what we really have to look out for this year. We'll talk about it in the buy round video, but one of the big things that I flagged is that you don't need a loophole player early because we're going to have best 18. So most likely you're going to have someone from one of those 2 teams playing or not playing in your side, and then you can just put them as your captain and have a swing for free. Forward line, mate. If you saw our preseason video, where's all the premiums? They've just disappeared. They're not in my team. I've gone cheap. I think a lot of people will. And I'm kind of banking on hopefully having some good players available in that round. I think it's round 7 now when the first lot of DPPs come in. So we'll wait and see for that to happen. I've started off with Sam Flanders. I think a lot of people will be picking this guy, and he should be around like that 60 to 70% ownership. It's really going to hurt if you don't have him and he goes well, and not hurt so much if he goes poorly and a lot of people have him. So that's kind of why I've got him in at the moment. I've gone a bit controversial here, and I've got Mitchie Owens at F2. Bear with me. He did fantastic last year. He's built his tank. He's got stronger. Potentially could play a bit of ruck forward, but also play a lot of midfield time. If you watched our video with Saints TV, It's one to track over the preseason, but at that price, around 450, there is some other options that I can just go straight into. So it's not a huge loss if he doesn't do well and we have to trade without changing the whole team and structure. I've gone probably one of the more locked in picks at the moment is Zach Fisher. Looks to be playing halfback. I'm not expecting him to be a keeper, but he should be able to make some decent scores and probably about 100K fairly quick, depending on how bad North Melbourne is and how good he is in the team. It's a watch over the preseason, but I think a lot of players are a watch over the preseason at the moment. He's one for me. I've gone James Jordan in the forward line. I don't think he's going over from Melbourne to Sydney to be stuck as the sub again. I think he's going to have a spot in the best 22. Not sure exactly where that is, but if he's playing every week at 275K, he's probably a good shout in my team. Definitely a few players around there. Maybe I can downgrade to a Billings and get some extra money, but at the moment, he's in my side. Not a bad F4 for this kind of season and this team. I spoke about him before, but Harley Reid takes the spot there. Number one pick. He's going to play every week if he's not injured, and he's going to make you some decent money. They're going to throw the ball at him. He's their poster child. It's just going to happen. I've gone a bit cheaper in Darcy Wilson. Looks to be playing some midfield wing spot at the moment, just dominating Saints preseason, and he's beating men in a lot of capacity and a lot of metrics. So if you don't have him in your team, there's a reason why he went in the first round. There's a reason why North Melbourne were desperate to get him in and would have taken him at the next pick if available, because he's a bloody freak. So I'm glad I've got him in my side. I finished off my team with a couple of cheaper players. In Aaron Cadman, should play a lot at GWS, just signed a big contract. And then a bit of a different one. Braden George. So placeholders with Cadman and obviously everyone else on the bench. But I think George will feature early, and I think he'll do quite well. So I've kind of held him along for right now. Guys, let me know in the comments. Have you got these players in your team? Have I missed anyone crucial? Rate my team out of 10. We're trying to build the channel. If you like what you see, smash that subscribe button, and we'll catch you in the next one. Remember, here at the Centre Bounce, we do the hard work so you don't have to. Bye for now.